This morning, first thing, I went for a horse riding lesson, which I've started doing. This is my fifth lesson, I think. So like, I'm not super deep into this. Like, I do 2 a week. I'm like not super deep into my horse riding experience, but I'm understanding things about Muay Thai through the horse riding. There's a lot of like similarities that I find really cool. I did not, I knew it would be hard because it's pretty exhausting to ride a horse anyway, but my normal teacher, Arena, actually is not well, so she stayed home, and she had her endurance teacher, his name is Gang, she had him teach me. He's very different from Arena, and it was actually really cool. He was much slower in the startup, like, he did not have me, like, you know, trotting on the horse or anything like that right away. Like, everything came really slow. But he really, really accentuated and emphasized the, like, you need to be controlling the animal kind of thing, which part of what I'm like, this is so much like Muay Thai, is that you have to control yourself first. And once you learn to control yourself, then you can control something that's bigger and stronger than you kind of thing. And I kind of had this, like, oh yeah, this is like understanding this thing about controlling yourself. And it's very hard to control yourself because you have to make adjustments while you're moving, like while you're bouncing on the horse and trying to bounce less on the horse and be lighter and kind of like sink your legs down and put your heels down and kind of gain control and like not be jostling everywhere. You have to make these adjustments while moving, which is really, really hard, but it's also very much like Muay Thai. Today was kind of a wake-up call with Crew Gang teaching me that while I do have this like, oh, you have to control yourself first, it's like so important, you also have to control that horse. Like, you have to make that horse listen to you even when you're still trying to control yourself. Like, it's not like, okay, now I totally have control of myself, now I can control you. You have to be controlling that horse and telling that horse what you want it to do while you're still trying to control yourself and, like, keep yourself balanced and not falling off and, like, kind of putting your heels down and all these different things. And it was kind of a... It's not something I didn't know, but I think it's something that I, like, wasn't quite prepared for. Like, there are not stages. Like, in Muay Thai, there are not stages to, now that you've learned this, now you can learn this other thing. You're learning it all at once, and you're just not ready for some of the lessons, and, like, you're learning it the entire time, and then eventually it just kind of, like, comes to be, or you understand it or something. There's a beautiful metaphor in the inner game of tennis, where he's talking about how a rose is a rose the entire time. Like, it doesn't become a rose when it blossoms. It is a rose the entire time, from when it's a seed to a stalk to a bud to blossoming to dying. It's all a rose the entire time. So you are what you are the entire time. You just have all of these different phases. So it's not like, when will I be this? It's like, you are that the entire time. You're just not in the phase that's like a beautiful blossom yet. And that's kind of what the learning is like, is you're doing all of these things all at once. You learn the lesson on day one, but you might not actually be able to do it until, 5 years on or something like that. And this really resonated with me in terms of, like, some of the things I'm trying to do with Muay Thai, because I went straight from riding to sparring with Yod Pan, and I'm still lacking that explosiveness that just makes it really, really hard to, like, change direction. When he's getting the better of me, for me to be able to, like, change the direction and actually, defend myself or any of these things. I don't have that explosiveness right now. I'm just super exhausted. But I have to control myself and try to control him and do all of these things even when I'm not ready for it, even when it's not working. Like, you keep doing it even when it's not working. I keep wanting to stop the horse because it's just so awful, and they're like, you can't stop the horse, you have to, like, make these things work while the horse is moving, kind of thing. So yeah, that was my morning. Like, this is much harder than I thought it was going to be, even anticipating that it was going to be really hard. But yeah, this like lesson this morning of, like, you actually need to be controlling this horse and be, like, a little insistent about it. Crew Gang was having me do these, like, zigzags through cones, the way you would, like, in a driving test, how you have to, like, weave in and out of them. Horse did not want to do that. Like, there were a couple of times, many times, the horse did not want to zig, or wanted to zag when I was zigging, and I just had to keep insisting on it, and he's bigger than me. He's much, much bigger than me, and he's the one walking, so, having to be insistent about it rather than, like, oh yeah, you do what you want to do. I'll just try to keep my heels down. It's a very good lesson. It's a very, very good lesson. Very applicable to Muay Thai today.